In the previous stanza, I have given you the explanation of you know two stanzas of the poem Ode to Autumn by Keats. Today, I'll be taking the third stanza. First, I'll read it out to you, explain the important words, important and difficult, and then give you the explanation of the lines. Where are the songs of spring? Where are they? Now, the poet compares autumn with other seasons, and so he says, "Where are the songs?" Because autumn has its. He says autumn has its own music. So, though the songs of springs or the music of spring has gone by, but there's nothing to worry because autumn season has got plenty of its own music. So where are they? Think not of them, thou has thy music too. So he says you don't have to think. He's addressing the autumn season, and he says that you don't have to think about the music of spring because you have got your own music, and so there's nothing to worry about it. Now again this is something which is unconventional because in English, and for that matter everywhere, spring is associated with youth, music, joyfulness, liveliness, and here you find that the poet is giving you a very very untraditional view of autumn, where autumn is shown with full of ripeness, sweetness, fruits ripening, and music. And he says that the autumn season has got its own music also. So he has shown the plentiness of autumn, the bountifulness of autumn, as opposed to the you know uh, poets who have given the plentiness of spring season. He has given you the plentiness of autumn season. So think not of them, thou hast thy music too, while barred clouds bloom the soft dying day and touch the stubble plains with rosy hue. Hue is the color. Stubble plains are the stubbles of the harvested crop. Think not of them. He says, do not think of the joyous songs and charms of the spring seasons which birds sing rapturously and joyously among the woods. You, he is addressing the autumn season. Thy music too. Autumn has also its own songs, and they have their own beauty and charm. Autumn, like spring, has its own music. So he says, then in a wailful joy, the small gnats moan among the river shallows, borne aloft or sinking as the light wind lives or dies, and full grown lambs loud bleat from hilly bound. Hedge crickets sing, and now with treble soft the redbreast whistles from a garden croft, and gathering swallows twitter in the skies. So, barred day, when the patches of clouds lend a peculiar glow to sunset. Soft dying day. Soft born is boundary. Soft dying day, the time of sunset. Bloom to lend a glow to. Rosy hue, rosy color of the setting sun. Boundary, wailful choir is the mournful singers. Gnats mourn. Small gnats, small insects, these are the kinds of insects. They produce a wailing sound. Shallows are the willows or bushes growing in the marshy grounds or beds of rivers. Borne aloft, The gnats mentioned above are carried high up in the air when the wind blows, dies as the wind stops blowing. Bleat is the sound produced by the lamb. Mourn here also means hilly side. Hedge cricket are the grasshoppers. Treble soft is a soft shrill note. Redbreast is the robin bird. Croft is a small piece of enclosed land adjoining a dwelling house. Garden croft is the garden enclosure. Twitter is the chirping of birds. In the concluding stanza of this poem, Ode to Autumn, the poet says that autumn is not devoid of songs. It has its own music, as the spring is full of sweet songs. In the same way, there are sweet songs to be heard in autumn too. The songs of autumn are so sweet. They are introduced in scene of sunset glory. The beauty of the sky that escapes many did not escape Keats, but the sunset illuminates the earth as well as the sky and touches the stubble plains with hue, with rosy color. In the background of such a beautiful sunset, the wailful buzz of the swarming gnats, varying with the force of the breeze, as the insects themselves rise and fall in the air, the familiar bleating of the full grown lambs on the hilly bourne, the chirping songs of grasshoppers, the whistling trembler of the redbreast is the robin, the bird, and finally the twittering of swallows. Swallows are also the birds. Twittering of the swallows appear as delightful and sweet as the songs of spring. The last stanza begins with the only comment the poet offers in his own person: where are the songs of spring? Ah, where are they? But there is no rebellion in the answer. Think not of them. Thou hast thy music too, answers the poet himself. And the sound produced by gnats and a large number of insects is called mournful when compared to the joyous melodies of springtime. Gathering swallows always fly in flocks. They are gathering to migrate to warmer climates. Their departure shows that winter is coming. So, as you have seen, we are discussing along, autumn season is described as the season of mist and mellow fruitfulness. It is time of the year when the sky is clear and the sun shines brightly in the sky. During this season, fruits and flowers ripen and present a lovely spectacle to the eyes. The vines are laden with grapes, and the moss covered trees of the cottage gardens bend low because of the load of apples, gourd, and hazelnuts develop to their best form and appear plump. Flowers bloom in all their loveliness and present a lovely spectacle to the eye. Bees hum on the flowers and go on collecting honey in their sticky hives. So rich is the harvest of flowers in the sunny days of autumn that the bees feel the perpetual presence of warm days within their work. So, he says that the beauty of the beauty of the spring season continues even in the season of autumn. This is what he has emphasized in the poem Ode to Autumn, that this is not a season of barrenness, rather this is a season full of ripeness and beauty and productivity also. So this season is also as fertile as the spring season is. And in the second stanza also, he's personifies the entire autumn season. He personifies the autumn season as farmers who are seen sitting carefree without worries in their minds on a greenery floor. Their hair is softly lifted by the winnowing wind. One can find reapers falling asleep among their furrows with scythe in their hands, induced or lured to sleep by the fragrance of the poppies. Gleaners of corn are seen crossing the brook or fording the stream with sheaves of corn on their heads. They balance the sheaves on their heads with fording the stream. Sometimes farmers gather around presses, watching patiently for a long time, the extraction of apple juice from their presses. These are the familiar sight of autumn. So, you know, the entire season has been so beautifully described with that it brings before you a very vivid picture of English uh, autumn with all the warmth and richness of the season, and is breathe and it breathes a spirit of happy contentment. This ode shows Keats in a rich mood of serenity. There are no questions and no conflicts in the poem. Autumn is not here regarded as the prelude to winter, but it is a season of ripeness and fulfillment. The poet is not disturbed by the thought of the snows of winter that will soon follow. He is contented with his present happiness. So, the poem, is known for its vivid, picturesque quality, its vivid images, and also the use of figure of speech where he has, adorned his poem, embellished his poem with different figures of speech. I'll be giving you the analysis of the poem uh, in as PDF. Thank you.